Hey, welcome to another episode of Angry in the Middle. It's me, Walter, and I'm here on the third night of the end of the world as we know it. We are here to talk about Donald Trump. And there's a lot of protests going on. I was just watching some footage from last night's protest in New York City. Thousands of people taking to the streets and collecting in front of Trump Tower saying, "You are not my president," right? Mostly non-violent. There's been a few violent incidences out here and about. But for the most part,
some violence in Oregon.
there's some violence in Oregon, which is not unsurprising. That's probably even one of those Second Amendment types doing his taking federal property again, right? Donald Trump needs to step up. He won the election. He barely won the election. He lost the popular vote. It is on Donald Trump's shoulders to show leadership at this point. I am still in the column that I am giving him a chance, but I'm running short on patience. I am calling on Donald Trump to step out into the public eye and speak to the protesters and show that he is capable of providing good leadership. He needs to meet Obama and Clinton. Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama both said, "We lost. It is time to be good losers," right? And support the new president. But there are a lot of people that haven't heard that voice yet because they have yet to hear Donald Trump say, "I am here for all of you." He was elected by less than half of the popular vote. It is on Donald Trump to show us he's capable of dealing with this crowd in a humane way, in a leadership way, in a way that says, "I hear your pain. I hear your fears. I hear your distrust. Here's what I'm going to do to earn your trust." Even if it's a bunch of bullshit, right? There are times where a leader just has to get out there. And when I say bullshit, I mean just go out there and smile and say, "Listen, I get it. We're transitioning. I don't have all the answers yet, but I'm trying to learn fast." Right? There's a lot of things that he could do to calm this horrible fear that's out there. To talk to all the women. All the women that are out there just burning. What do we got there? Larissa said he whined about on Twitter. Yeah, complaining about the protesters on Twitter. It's unfair. It's unfair that you won without the majority of the popular vote. And you know what? I'm not one of those people. You know, the Electoral College is what it is. The Electoral College is what it is. You know what's really unfair? It's unfair all those people that stayed at home that didn't want you to be president, and they stayed at home. And it's their fault in Florida, in Michigan, in Wisconsin. Oh, Michigan, I think he finally went to Hillary by a couple votes, right? But, you know, there's a lot of unfairs. But unfair is a stupid word. I'm sorry. Unfair is one of those words that, you know, whining little bastards can yet use. You know, like Bill Maher calls Donald Trump whiny little bitch, right? Unfair is a whiny little bitch term. Life is not easy. Life is unfair. Let's move on and let's talk about fixing problems. Let's talk about creating real change. Let's talk about easing fear. I can't read all these things. They're too far away. I'm trying to get a little more out so I can show my entire Superman crest, right?
He isn't fixing the heat.
What Donald Trump needs to do is go out there in the next 24 hours and denounce all of the hate crimes being committed in Trump's name. All the people that are out there defacing religious and ethnic property, you name it. People are out there telling people to go home to their country. And the fucking ignorant assholes that are telling that to white people with a slight tan. or telling Asians to go back to Mexico because they're too dumb to know the difference. Not all Donald Trump supporters are deplorable, but there are a lot of deplorable shit. There's a lot of deplorable shit going on because Donald Trump said it's okay. Donald Trump never said, go out and treat your fellow man shitty. But his rhetoric emboldened a lot of shitty people. And that's why thousands of people are on your doorstep saying, what the fuck? And to all the shitty assholes out there, he lied to your face to get your vote. But until he denounces the shitty things you do, he is as part of the evil problem as you are. I don't think Donald Trump in itself is evil in himself. But right now he is part of the problem, not the solution. And I call upon Donald Trump as a citizen of America to start being part of the solution. Hillary Clinton did her job. She graciously conceded. Obama did his job. He's graciously transitioning power. Something that you promised not to do. You were calling upon the masses to go out to the streets and protest if you won.
He called in 2012 to protest Obama, to protest the Electoral College.
Yeah.
Back in 2000, he said, take to the streets. There's tweets of him.
Right. But Obama won by like 54% of the popular vote or something like that in 2012. So stop being a hypocrite, stop being a bigot, stop being an asshole, stop being a sexist, a sexual predator, stop being all the shitty things. You stopped a lot of the rhetoric, but you have yet to really lead. You've yet to show you're capable of being the leader of the most powerful nation in this country. You have yet to show that you're the right man for the job. All you did was convince a lot of people in the Midwest that they need you to go in and destroy the institutions. But you could even still do that, within reason. Although I have a feeling in the next 6 weeks you're going to learn a whole bunch of shit. I think this happens every 4 years. Obama went in with all these promises, and then he learns the real deal once he's there, right? He learns what's really going on, all the things that we don't know. And then they realize, oh, I guess I can't do that, because if I do that, then this happens. This. Like the old domino effect with communism, like the domino effect works, Rubik's Cube type stuff, right? Cause and effect. There are a lot of things that a lot of politicians, a lot of people promise, and then they get in and realize, and they talk to the people that really have a fucking clue. And he said, oh, I can't do what I promised, because if I do what I promised... The difference is, everyone else that has had the job so far, at least most of them, got to the office and were smart enough to deal with the reality. You have yet to prove that you're smart enough to deal with the reality. You have, and not even so much IQ, emotional IQ. You know how to bark orders and demand results. But actually leading the monarchy of your Donald Trump empire is a lot different from the democracy of America. And you have yet to show in anything in the last 72 hours other than hunching over, sitting next to Obama, nodding, and pretending like you have a fucking clue what's going on. The body language was ridiculously telling. And I'm not here to attack Donald Trump. I'm here to call upon Donald Trump to step up his fucking game. To step the fuck up. I'm here to call upon Donald Trump to lead. To set the example the way a leader should. To denounce hatred. To denounce all bigotry. To denounce all hate and all fear. And to say, if you really want to be president for all, prove it. The time for talk is done. But right now, all you can do, until you take the office, all you can do is talk, right? You need to talk. You need to set the tone for the next 4 years in the next 24 hours. Because the weekend's coming. And I've already talked to a lot of friends. They couldn't come out the last couple nights. Now, here's the thing. New York is going to potentially shut down. I produce theater in New York City. I have people coming to see my comedy show. And if they don't come in, there are waiters and there are actors and there are tech people that could potentially lose business. There are businesses in New York that are going to lose a lot of money. The people that you've basically pilfered over the last 40 years and raped financially for your own personal gain, you're going to put them out of business. Now, maybe the Secret Service will rush you off to Florida or one of your other properties around the world to wait out the storm, so you don't have to deal with it. But human nature, think of Ferguson, think of Baltimore, think of all the things that have led to mass protests in recent years. Do we want that to happen to New York City? Can we afford to have that happen in New York City? All because you're hiding in your Trump Tower? You need to come out. I'm not saying you're in hiding either. I mean, you were at the White House. You're meeting with Mike Pence. Now, I will say, good job getting rid of Chris Christie. Let's talk about the positives. Chris Christie gone. Plus, Mike Pence is your transition team. Not a big fan of Mike Pence's policies in Indiana, but he is a player and he knows how to play and he knows how to get things done. So as a politician, as a leader, I don't like his stance on his homophobic laws and policies in Indiana. But overall, he knows what he's doing in a way that you don't. So that's a smart transition. Can we talk about Rudy Giuliani? It's time to get rid of that old fart. Rudy Giuliani is a demented old fuck. And Rudy Giuliani, I don't think anybody, the majority, the slight majority of popular vote that voted against you is not going to let you run this country with Rudy Giuliani as Attorney General. There will be civil unrest like you have never seen in our lifetime, in my lifetime. You're old enough to remember the 50s and 60s. But we haven't seen that kind of civil unrest. Ferguson was nothing. Baltimore was nothing. You put Rudy Giuliani in as Attorney General? After all the work Eric Holder has done to try to bring this country forward, and Obama, and you're going to put somebody like Rudy Giuliani in? And there are times that I have felt that Rudy Giuliani in middle and late 1990s was exactly what this city needed at the time, right? The city was out of control. But then after a couple years, he took it way too far. People going to jail for sitting on their stoop and feeding pigeons, because it was a violation of the quality of life laws. There's that line. There's a line that we can't cross. There's a line. And behind the line is public safety. In front of the line is individual liberty. And that line moves all the time. But people like Rudy Giuliani, and it sounds like people like you, want to keep pushing that line, encroaching upon civil liberty, claiming that you're going to retain civil liberty for the people in the Midwest, right? But to be a law and order candidate, the country is not in a horrible place, law and order wise. There are drugs. Drugs are out of control. Heroin's out of control. Heroin's on the rise. There are gangs. But it's not like it was in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. We're in a better place than we were 20 years ago. We don't need... I keep thinking of movies like Running Man, right? Arnold Schwarzenegger where these police state type movies. We don't need a police state. And I don't think any of your supporters want a police state. The only way to trample the protesters is a police state. And unless you start leading, you're going to deal with protesters your entire presidency. I am calling upon people to give you a chance. But they have a legitimate right to protest. They have a legitimate right to feel the emotions they feel, the fear, the anger, the sadness that you are now the president. I voted for Hillary. I'm a little too far to the middle to get overly emotional, but I feel it. I'm not angry, sad, or afraid that my gal lost, but I am afraid for a lot of my friends. A lot of my friends are in a very emotionally unstable place right now. And I know they are among the reasonable ones. I know there are people out there that are far less reasonable, feeling the exact same emotions. I don't think we're a powder keg yet, right? We're not Ferguson, we're not Baltimore, we're not ready to explode and start bashing in CVS's and burning down bodegas. But I don't think it would take very much. One more ignorant tweet like your protest unfair tweet might be all it takes to push a couple people, because in every circle there are mentally unstable people. Just like in the circles of your supporters. Most of your supporters are not deplorable, but they have deplorable rhetoric. Similar to your grab the pussy line, right? They say shit behind. Oh! my phone just fell down. All right, maybe that was that was fucking hilarious.
Is that right after you say grab him by the pussy?
Grab him by the pussy.
Your phone,
yeah.
Your phone is definitely not.
My phone doesn't like the P word. Who's that? Does that see it? I can't see. No. There are, among every circle are mentally unstable people. That was my phone, yeah. So I was like, that must be a lot of fun for the people watching this on Periscope. Among the protesters, there are people. Your supporters would call them thugs. There are people that are angry and upset, that are capable of violence. It's a minority, but they're out there. Just like among your supporters that listen to the rhetoric all day long and then go home. And then among those people are people that go out and burn down churches or shoot people in a church in Charlotte or draw swastikas on synagogues or bar kids from going to their own school. In Michigan, it's like 1950s Mississippi, not letting the black kids go to the university, right? History is repeating itself in the worst possible way because of you. Because of your rhetoric and the rhetoric that you have inspired. Similarly to the asshole cops that would say stupid shit like, it's Giuliani time. And I guarantee all those people are outside your house, your Trump Tower. Remember Giuliani time. Not in a good way. They remember cops that, and again, not all cops are bad. Most cops are not. But the asshole cops, the deplorable cops that were emboldened by things that Giuliani said, and I really think Giuliani back then had the best of intentions. The world was a much scarier place in the 70s, 80s, and 90s in inner cities. I feel comfortable walking anywhere in New York City at this point. And I don't fear anyone because of the color of their skin. That's not to say at any given point a mugger or some crazy dude, right, might attack me. But I don't fear it because I don't fear like just walking down the street. I might die or get hurt or get, stolen, mugged. I can't say that of all white people, but I remember 10 years ago being at the Hilton on 6th Avenue and 53rd. I think that's where you had your Donald Trump had his thing, right? His acceptance speech. I think that's where it happened. And it was for the APAP, basically all the theaters in the country and beyond come to New York to see all the latest plays and the Broadway shows, and people like me go to sell my show and my talents to those theaters. And I remember it was my first year with the organization, with this orientation, and a guy from Southern California, very, very white, very, very liberal, but very, very white. He was definitely a liberal, but very, very white liberal. And he basically would tell, now I think he was a little biased because he wanted everybody to stay in the hotel because that's where his artists were showcasing, right? His artists were showcasing in the hotel. So he told everybody at our table, whatever you do, don't leave the hotel. They got food here. They have plenty of showcases here. There's no reason to leave the hotel. I mean, you just go 3 blocks west and you're in Hell's Kitchen. I mean, just the name Hell's Kitchen, right? Just the name Hell's Kitchen should scare you. You just don't leave the hotel. It's safer to stay here. And this was only 10 years ago. This isn't 92. This is maybe 2006. Maybe even later. And I just had to say, Hell's Kitchen is like the best restaurants in New York City that you can afford, right? The Hell's Kitchen, maybe 40 years ago when like Sleepers took place, and Irish Mafia. But even then, but that's when you didn't go to Times Square either. Since thanks to Giuliani time, I guess, you could go pretty much anywhere in Manhattan at that point, and you'd be fine. Lower East Side, Harlem, no less safe than, and New York City for a while has been the safest major city in New York City. And I'm thinking, this guy, what a fucking asshole. Spreading hate and fear for your own profiteering? That's Donald Trump's job. So I denounce anybody that's out there with rhetoric on both sides. I denounce anyone that's out there spreading hate, fear, lies, speculation. I still want to give Donald Trump the benefit of the doubt that he has a shot at being a great president. There's a fear in me that thinks he'll be the worst president ever. And there's a lot of reasoning behind that. It's not just speculation. But there's a lot of speculation. The news is still more focused on how did we get it wrong? How did we just assume Hillary was going to win? There's a great conversation on Morning Joe this morning. And if you haven't had a chance, go on MSNBC and look for this conversation. Michael Moore. Anytime Michael Moore gets a chance to speak in the next 48 hours, listen to Michael Moore. I think Michael Moore, being a guy from Flint, Michigan, being the type of guy that, even though he was for Hillary, he's the type of guy that mostly went for Trump. These are people, they're not racist. They voted for Obama in many cases. Many of them voted for Obama. And they just couldn't bring it themselves to vote for Hillary. There are many people out there that voted for Obama in 2012 that didn't vote at all. There are many people that voted for Obama that voted for Trump. Millions of people. So, one, if you're 18 and over, vote. Because this is what happens when you don't vote. Because I think if everybody voted, if 100% of the possible voters out there voted, even in the states where you think your vote doesn't count because it's always going to be blue, not every Democrat is worthy of your vote. And if you're somebody who votes Republican all the time, not every Republican is worthy of your vote. Educate yourselves and vote. It doesn't take that much. It's not that hard to formulate an opinion for yourself based on facts, not speculation, not based on rumors, not based on shit you hear at the bar or at the barber. Educate yourself. Because 90% of the shit out there you hear is bullshit. And you don't know which 10% to listen to. I would still say listen to everything, but go online and find out the facts. And you don't find out the facts by looking one thing up, being lazy. It's like, oh, okay. No, you got to go to like 4 or 5 sources to get the real truth. Because no one source these days is unbiased. And most of the people on TV are incredibly biased. It doesn't mean it's a rigged system. It's just people have passion. And people, journalists, they're going to say what they feel. We need more news. We need more reporting. We need far less speculation. But I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. Hopefully, the New York Times listens. But the New York Times isn't listening. The New York Times is out there preaching. We didn't get it wrong. Just not enough people listen to us. Is pretty much what they're saying. Right? But there's still people out there on the right saying, we should have been more conservative. They didn't learn their lesson. They were far less conservative and they won big. There's a lot of potential goodness that could come out of this. I still think Donald Trump is going to be the one that reaches across the aisle and is successful because he's not a real Republican. And he's not going to say to his Republicans in majority, the Republicans aren't going to obstruct everything he does. He's not going to veto everything they do, but he might veto some of it, and he might force them to talk to Pelosi and Schumer and to come up with real immigration reform, come up with real tax reform, come up with real budget deficit reform. There's a lot of potential here. And I think potential Donald Trump doing things that Hillary couldn't just because of that simple dynamic is huge. Huge. So Donald Trump, chances of you actually watching this are slim. But I hope everybody that does listen to this, spread the word. Let's give him a shot. That doesn't mean you stop protesting. Let's give him a shot, but not just a shot as a president. Give him a shot in the next 24 hours to show us he's capable of leading. That you are capable of quieting, calming a crowd, as well as you are firing up your deplorables. If you can do that, you've got my vote next time. Maybe. You got 4 years. You got 4 years too. You have 4 years to earn it. So, but I am in the middle. I'm angry in the middle, but I have hope in the middle. Maybe I'm just going to change my name to Malcolm.